This is Brenda Abdian from bajidu.com again, and we're here with part 2 of wax painting over waterslide decals. We're going to show you the white poppy candle, and let's get started. Now that our candle decal is adhered, you can see it's not moving anymore. It's dry, it's in place. We're ready to go with the paint now. It looks pretty awesome just like it is if you want to leave it grayscale. You know, you could just leave it that way. But we're going to make this look awesome with some wax paint. The wax paint is, again, by Viva Decor out of Germany. And let's start with the center of the flower, and then we're going to work our way in with the petals. But we're going to start with the center, and we're going to use 2 colors. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of each color on this little piece of scrap wood here, because I'm going to paint with it with a brush. So I'm just going to put a little dab. You don't need a lot, very small amount. A little dab of gold. This is copper, copper here, and gold here. The copper has a little bit of a opaque, almost like a lack of luster at this moment, but when it dries, it gets that true metallic copper look. Okay, so now what we're going to do, and I'm going to try to scoot you up a little closer so you can see this a little bit better, get a little tighter shot on my actual paint job here. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to start with the copper. And where we've got darker areas, and this is just a scrap paintbrush, it's nothing special. It's even got a really rough bristle. So it's something you don't care if you keep, if you're going to throw it away later, but you can just sort of wipe this up with a wet cloth and reuse it, which is exactly what I've done. But we're going to take the copper and use it like a shadowing effect with our gold pedestal center for our poppy. And we're making a white poppy, by the way. Whether that occurs in nature or not, it's not even important. It's just going to look awesome on a Christmas candle, or a holiday candle, or a candle anytime. So see how I'm just dabbing it, and I'm not gonna cover the area with it. I'm just gonna create a little bit of definition in the center of the flower. A little bit in here. Like so. Then we're going to take and do the same thing with the gold. We're going to put a little bit of gold in that. Not as much because it's pretty bright. And we want to leave that shadowy part looking shadowy. But we want a good merge between the center where we're going to put actual pedestal paint and the outside. So there we go. Put a little bit of that in the very, very center. And that's about the end of the actual painting with a brush for the moment we're going to do. So that's why we put so very little down here on the actual little scrap wood. No sense wasting it. We'll put this off. This paint goes a pretty long way. You have to admit that color is already pretty awesome on there. And we're going to now use the gold. This comes with an applicator in this pen, an applicator nozzle like this, and we're going to create little tiny pedestals in the center, and let's make sure we shake that down and we don't have any air bubbles. So we'll go around the outside, and you don't have to fill in every single pedestal area of the drawing. You're just adding extra dimensions. So just sort of go in a circle. Very, very simple. There is nothing to it. Seriously, nothing to it. And you can see this flower is already coming to life. Backwards and upside down for you. So now we have the center of the flower. And I like to put a little bit of gold glitter on there, just for a little interest. And I have our little glitter in our little puff bottle here. The Bajidu gold glitter. This is a translucent gold. We just puff a little bit onto the center. And now you have not just a candle with an incredible paint job on it in about 5 seconds. You have a bit of sparkle in there. I'm not sure if it's showing up on the camera or not. Kind of hard to see from here, but hopefully you can see it there. Now we're going to move on to the white petal parts here, and for that I'm going to zoom out a little tiny bit just so you can see a little bit more of what I'm doing. Okay, so let's put the lid back on the gold, and that's all the gold and all the copper we're going to use in this painting. The most paint we're going to use is white, and you might want to have some other little tools. I have a couple of Q-tips, cotton swabs. You might want to have a couple extra tools handy. In place of using your fingertip, I have a couple of cotton swabs, which of course I would probably dampen a little bit so that it doesn't pick up the wax but just moves it around for me. You can also use your the nozzle of your pen is your best tool, but you can also use your paintbrush again on this step if you like. What you want to do is you want to begin by outlining the upper part of your petal with, and this is platinum, by the way, platinum wax paint, platinum pearl. You're going to outline the uppermost portion of your petal. So you just do a little wave like so. And then you have a choice of using the nozzle, or you can use one of those tools. I'm going to use the nozzle, and we're just going to squeeze a little bit of paint out while we go and drag it down from that ridge you just created, which is going to give you the dimension. And you're dragging it too, but not going over the edge of the next petal. And if you don't want your shadow areas, your little streaks of the drawing coming through too much, you just want to create definition. So now we're going to continue around and do the next petal section. And kind of follow these little lines that go down, like there's a little line right here. I don't know if you can see that right there. There's a little line. Just follow that down with the outline so you keep the shape of the petal true. And then come back again and pull down the wax paint toward the base of the tip of the next petal below it. I've got the Q-tip a little bit wet, and I'm just going to flatten out a few of the areas in my wax paint. Not all of them, but just a few, so there's not so much of the pulling motion noticeable, but still some. Same thing here, I squeeze a little of the paint out at the tips of the leaf. And then we're going to take our Q-tip, and actually it doesn't even matter if you use the one that has a little white on it, because that's going to give you a little variation in your leafy green. It's going to look more natural. One leaf down, 2 to go, and there's our flower and 3 leaves.